Welcome to Her Movement podcast, the show where we empower women entrepreneurs to build their own movement and create a bigger impact in the world. I'm your host Preeti Singh Rajput, and I'm beyond excited to have you join me on this exhilarating journey. In each episode, we dive deep into the inspiring stories of remarkable women entrepreneurs. We'll explore their successes, their struggles, and the pivotal moments that shaped their journey. This podcast is a platform for real and raw conversations. Sharing our stories is empowering and instrumental in inspiring others to step into their greatness. From overcoming challenges to celebrating triumphs, our guests will take you on a transformative journey through their experiences. Join us as we delve into topics such as building a loyal community, creating your own movement with your own experience, growing your business with impact, and so much more. Our guests are trailblazers in their respective niches, and they are ready to share their wisdom, insights, and actionable tips that you can implement in your own business and life. Whether you are just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, Her Movement podcast is your go-to resource for inspiration, guidance, and real-world strategies that truly work. So grab a cup of coffee, tune in, and let's embark on this exciting journey together. Get ready to ignite your passion, elevate your mindset, and build your own movement. Hi, Rebecca. Welcome to Her Movement podcast. I'm super excited to be chatting with you today. So the first question that I always ask all of my guests is, what movement are you building with your business, Rebecca?
Yes, thank you so much, and good morning on my end, and thank you for having me. The movement that I'm building in my mission is to help get more wealth in the hands of women. I really think that women have had their access to wealth cut off throughout so much of time. For a long period of time, women weren't allowed to open, even still today, some places in the world, women aren't allowed to open bank accounts. They're not allowed to have their own property. I think up until 1993, not every woman in Switzerland was able to vote. It's insane actually how recent a lot of this history is. And if you look at research, you see that when women have more wealth, that wealth benefits the community. It's not just herself. And that's very different from with men. When men have wealth, very commonly that wealth benefits himself, maybe his very near family or friends. So when more women have wealth, it literally makes the world a better place. So I'm on that mission. And I fulfill that mission by helping women sell.
Wow, that's awesome. Because I can understand, how difficult it is for most of the women to actually ask for money to make a sale. It's not as natural as it is for men, probably.
Yes, exactly. And how I usually explain that is that women are raised with other people feeling entitled to their time. And we are raised in a way that we expect that other people expect our time for free. And when that happens, I mean, if you just go to any family setting, it's very often women who are running around catering to the men. And even though there are some places in the world where that has now become more equal, that the men will just as much put in the effort and the women will just as much just sit and enjoy the setting. Very commonly, they say on average, it's 20 unpaid labor hours per week that women put in. And when we grow up with that entitlement to our time, it becomes really, really difficult to now sit down and put a value on our time and saying, oh, now you have to pay me for this time. And I see so often women who are, if they even manage to say to someone, this is my price, they are so quick to say, oh, but if you can't afford it, we'll work something out, or, something in that line. And I always tell them, you're actually being quite condescending to your client if you assume that they can't pay you your price, so just give your price and stop talking.
I know it's very inconvenient. I was telling you before our call that yesterday itself, I just heard one of my mentees tell me that, it just feels wrong for me to help someone and then take money from them. And, this is such a mindset, and it just, took me a step back, and I felt like, the first task for me as a business coach, I'm not supposed to, go too deeper. I mean, my focus has to be like business and the mindset around business, but this is something that is so crucial to be kind of, dealt with, and the mindset that I need to really work on with my mentee, that this is as holy as any other job that you do in your life, as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, selling what you know, and you know that if you can impact someone, it is your duty to sell it and to reach out to as many people as possible. It's so Rebecca, to start with, I would want you to just share your journey of becoming an entrepreneur. And I know your story, and I know how inspiring it is, because you're like a rebel, going after your dream, going after what you believe in. So I really want you to share your story, so that women in my community can get that courage and inspiration from your personal story.
Yeah, it's funny that you talk about courage, because I didn't realize until I moved from Denmark to Rwanda that courage was even needed. I used to be terrified of everything. I was scared of everything. And I overcame a lot of those fears by simply doing the things I was scared of, and then realizing it was never that bad. And I just continued to do that until I started not becoming scared of things. But I still considered myself a scared person. And when I went and quit my job at the bank in Copenhagen in Denmark, and I was like, I'm going to move to Rwanda. I don't have a plan. I'm going to volunteer to start with and build a network and figure out how things are going. And someone wrote on like the goodbye card to me, he said, if only more people had your courage, the world would be a better place. And that's the first time I ever considered myself a courageous person. I was like, wow, this is maybe really courageous. It doesn't feel like it, because it just felt like I did what I knew I had to do. It was such a powerful, strong force in me that was telling me, Rebecca, you got to get up and do something very, very different. You can't just stay in this box of expected life that's being pushed on you.
And what is it? What made you feel like it was a boxed life and a limited life?
I think because we are being handed life to us, right? We are being told, okay, now you're born. Well, the first couple of years, your parents are going to take care of you. Then you start into preschool, and then you get into school, and then you get into high school, and then you go to the university, and then you take a master's degree. So in Denmark, the master's degrees, you get paid to take a master's degree. So everybody has one. Like, it's so common to have a master's degree. Then you get out, you get a job, and then you need to chase promotions as often as you can. And then you're going to get a mortgage, and you're going to get married, you're going to buy a car, you have kids, and then you're going to save up for retirement, and then you're going to retire, and then now you can enjoy life, right? Now, when you're 60, 70 years old, you can start enjoying life. And I said, I don't want any of this. I don't like being an employee, especially not in organizations that are just working towards making rich people richer. Like, you're not making me any richer. Why am I putting all of this effort into this life that I clearly am not happy about? I would be so deep into distractions. Every weekend would be about, I can't stand being in my own space, so I have to get out and do stuff and party and hang out with people and attend events that's constantly being distracted by all the people and all the things that are going on. And if I just had to sit alone at home at night and spend an evening with myself, I would be almost terrified, because I had to come to terms with the fact that I didn't like this life, even though it was on paper everything I should want, everything that everyone else tells me, this is what you should want. So I've always been really happy with traveling. I've always enjoyed being exposed to new cultures and just being in warm countries. Coming from north of Europe, most of the year is miserable weather-wise. So I thought, how about I move to a place where it's just always summer? And so I did. And I went to a place where everything is very different, and everything is very green and beautiful, and the weather's perfect all year, and there's an entrepreneurial spirit. Honestly, because there are not enough jobs available to give jobs to everyone, so people are forced into entrepreneurship. But I enjoyed it so much, because now we can talk about building businesses without people looking at you being like, why are you crazy? You can just get a job.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I absolutely get it. I come from a background where, especially women aren't really into business. They are either teachers, or they're, into a profession that suits them and where they can actually take care of their home along with that. And, there is family around, their expectations and things like that. So it does make sense, and it's not easy. The day you decide to go against the norms, nobody really likes you.
Yeah.
You're no more needed in that society. You're just not needed, you know. So yeah, there is a lot of judgment and there is a lot of criticism that is involved when you walk your own path. And I often see there is one thing, you know, that not all of us we really understand that there could be another path to this life. There could be another way to living. Most of us we just conform. And you know, I'm not in favor of being rebellious in life, but it's more like if that's the life that you enjoy and love, go ahead and choose that, and do your best. That's the success that, you know, that's the meaning of success for you. But if I don't like it, I'm not happy there, and then staying there doesn't make sense. So
Mhm.
I totally understand where you're coming from, and it's not easy. I mean, to leave everything behind and come to a new place and try to build something for yourself. And you don't even you had your mother as a, you know, biggest support for you, right? And she was the strongest lady in your life.
She was a really strong influence, yeah. But by the time I moved, it had already been almost 10 years since she passed away. Um, she was a really strong influence, both in showing me what's possible for women. She set up a very successful business and made millions before she was even 30 years old. Um, she did everything that people told her that she couldn't do. And she just felt so empowered by that. And the funny thing is that I had to become my own adult before I really saw the inspiration in that. I spent most of my life struggling a lot with confidence and self-esteem issues. And when people meet me today, they're like, how did you ever not have confidence? Like, trust me. Trust me. I was like this tiny person. I had social anxieties, eating disorders, could not see my own wealth. Whenever I was in a group of people, I assumed that nobody liked me or that they felt I was inferior. And that was my own inferiority complex, obviously. But I had to grow out of that. And I had to grow out of that so much before I could even see the value that she was able to provide me through her inspiration. And unfortunately, she fell quite far from that. She had some quite unsuccessful marriages. She became sick. She was sick for a long time before she died. So my entire teenage and adult life, all I knew about her was really her sickness, her illness. And then the fact that she passed away at the age of 50, which is also really not old. And it's really taken a lot of work on myself before I was able to take in everything that she could teach me. And even now, I'm still learning from her. It's 13 years ago since she passed away, and I'm still learning from her. So I was in such a male-dominated childhood. I was my daddy's girl and his only daughter. He has 4 kids, which also means I have 3 brothers. And all of that was about chasing the masculine values, and the way that they spoke about women, even as unintentional as it was, gave me the impression that women are only here to look good and to serve men. And that just turned me into, like, I didn't want to be associated with other women. I wanted to be associated with other men, which means that I started to chase a life where I would be considered more like a girl among the boys instead of building relationships with women. And that has taken me such a long time. And now I'm like, even though I do have male friends, I'm like, I want to work with women clients. I don't even want to work with men that much. I mean,
And here
it
you
just
are
feels
helping
right to me.
women, and you're like your niche is women. So it's such a transformation. And I have been raised in a family where it's all girls, and in India, having girls is like another sin. So I totally understand what you're saying, because you always have that expectation that you have to be like a boy, you have to be like a man, you know, and that's when you are worthy. Otherwise, you know, your worth is associated and compared to that somehow. And I get that. And in the whole process of proving yourself equivalent to a boy and a male, it takes a toll on you.
It does. It does. And it's very often subconscious.
and
Very
and
often
and then you're not
unconscious.
able to actually understand your strengths as women, when you're competing with another sex. There is no point in doing that. The thing that can actually catalyze our life is more about understanding who we are as women and what are our strengths. And I see that you talk
Yes.
about that in your work a lot.
Yes, because I believe that we are so driven by masculine values that we underestimate the power in the feminine values. And everything that's dictated to us now is like you have to run for things, you have to sacrifice your well-being and yourself and your family in order to chase these things. And you can't be successful if you don't get up at 4:30 in the morning, and then you have to do all of these. And it's so exhausting just to hear about it even, right? And I've just realized that me personally, I'm not able to connect with myself and my intuition and feeling whether or not what I'm doing is the right thing if I don't sit down and I'm just still with it for a bit and I process it and I sit with it and I understand what's happening. And that's such a feminine approach to things, really, is just kind of taking time with something and then making the right decision instead of, men are all about fail, 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 and just try things out and do things. And even though I do believe that there's value in making mistakes and learning from them, I also think there's a lot of value in just sitting with something for a bit and kind of feeling, does this feel right or wrong? Is this something I should be doing? Instead of just like, oh, just do everything and jump into it. And those are just two very, very different approaches. And I feel like figuring out what works for us personally, instead of just following whatever is dictated by all the men, especially in podcasts, right? They're always telling everyone, do this, do this, do that. If not, you're not successful. You can't be successful. It's a bit tiring actually.
And success is such a subjective, matter to everyone. My success could be $5,000 and 15 hours a day with my son, right? And somebody else's success could be $1 million with zero time with their family, and which is perfectly fine. I don't know, maybe both are extremes, but it's just an example. Success is very different for everyone. So why to kind of box it and kind of make a status out of it. Let's just define our own success around us.
Yes.
Now, Rebecca, there is one thing that I really wanted to talk to you about is being a business coach. I see often, and my niche is women. I only coach women entrepreneurs, to build their own coaching businesses. And the challenge that I see when it comes to the mindset and when it comes to selling their programs and their products and their services, there is just so much of negative emotions associated with it. And how do you help your clients? Because I know that's your domain, that's your expertise. So, how do you help them come out of that mindset and really develop a mindset where they feel like selling is the most holy thing that they can do for this community?
Yeah, there's several things to it. The framework that I use is connected with purpose, offers, and message. And one of the reasons that I want people to connect with purpose as one of the first things is to realize that you're here for a reason. I personally believe we're here for a reason. That's a choice that I've made. I very intentionally believe that I'm here for a reason because I know that makes me a better business person. Because when I believe that I'm here for a reason, it means that I'm here to serve a specific group of people. And if I don't do that, they're not being served the way that I can do it best. They're probably getting something else somewhere else, but it's not going to be as good for them because they're not being fulfilled by my fulfilling of my purpose. So figuring out what we're here to do and who we're here to serve is something so powerful in terms of understanding the value that we provide to the marketplace and the lives that we can help change. Once that's in place, a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you just give away your purpose for free? The thing is, we don't value what is free. I don't know if you've ever done this. I have countless courses that I have paid somewhere between $0 and $100 that I've never done. I never started the course. I never implemented the learnings. I never did what I was supposed to do to achieve the transformation that course was designed to fulfill. But when I pay thousands of dollars for a course, you're going to see me do it. You're going to see me show up. You're going to see me do the homework. You're going to see me do the learnings and show up for the calls. because when we invest money into something, we're more attached to it. So if you want your audience to receive the transformation and do the work that's required to achieve that transformation that you can help them get, you need to charge, simply because they're not going to respect it or accept it or put in the effort if it's not expensive. So you are doing your clients a service by charging them something that's a stretch to them. So not what you think is a lot of money, what they think is a lot of money. I heard one time this woman called Eileen Wilder. She has several very high ticket courses, and she said you would be shocked to learn how many people pay $30,000 for a course and never show up, because that $30,000 was not that much of a stretch for that person. So you need to figure out what is a stretch for your audience and then charge them that, because that's when they put in the effort, that's when they show up, and that's when they actually do what's required to have that change. So even if you're not a course creator, a content creator, or whatever that would be, you need to charge enough money for them to really value it. Now, just think of, let's look at handbags, for example. Do you value that random handbag you bought in the market, or do you value your Birkin bag, right? Which one are you most protective of? Which one do you value more? Which one is also a better experience? Getting into the market and just grabbing something random because it's useful and it does its purpose, or going into a store and finding that one piece and saving for that piece for I don't know how long. Like, it is a lifetime bucket list item, right? To go in there, and there's an experience in just buying that piece in itself. And for the rest of your life, you're going to have that bag with you. It's going to be something that's handed over, right, to future generations. Because we automatically find things way more valuable if they're priced premium. So whatever you're doing, you're doing your audience a favor if you're charging a premium. I mean, obviously, you also have to be able to provide the value that's worthy of
Value and transformation that you're promising. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no favor done to anyone but you to stay in your comfort zone by not charging your clients. The only person who benefits is yourself. And that's even not a very good benefit. The only benefit is that you stay in your comfort zone. You feel happy about just giving stuff away for free, but what you're giving away for free is not really having any impact.
And there are a lot of, notions that I see when it comes to coming on the sales calls as well. How do you help your, clients to navigate through a sales call?
Yeah, I think it's, for me, it's about redefining what a sales call really is. Because again, we are used to the very masculine approach about getting there, getting them on a call, provide them blah, 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 just overload them with awesomeness, and then put up like a whole, you get this and this and this and this, and that has so much value, but today you're going to get it for just like $1,000 instead of $1 million that it's worth. And that just feels so, at least for me, that feels very unnatural to me. So I don't like selling that way. When I sell, I sit in a call, I get to know the person, I get to explain to them, this is what I do, and this is how I believe I can help you, and then tell them, this is what my package looks like, this is what I would recommend for you. If that's not for you, these are also packages I have available. And if you're interested, just let me know. Let's have a chat about it, and let me know if you have any questions. So instead of that becoming like sales, it's way more about getting to know the person and seeing, do I want to work with this person? There's some people I don't want to work with. But you have the opportunity and the privilege and the right to tell someone, I don't think this would work very well. I don't think I can actually help you. And also you don't have to tell them, but if you don't feel like that person is going to be valuable to you, if you don't think that's going to be a positive relationship, you can just say, oh, I don't think that this is really a good match. It doesn't have to be just me convincing you that you have to buy my stuff. For me, I see it way more as a transfer of energy. Just, is this going to work? Is this a client that I want to onboard? And if so, how can I help this person? Explain to them, okay, these are the issues that you're having. These are the things that you want to accomplish. If we were to work together, this is how it would help you accomplish that. and then let them make the decision whether or not they want to work with you. There's so much pressure to just close every sale. We're talking about conversion rates and this and that thing. But it's just, for me, it's just as important to figure out, is this a good match? And if it's not, just leave it.
Yeah, and that's where probably the messaging comes in place, right? To filter out the rest. And that's where, your third, pillar that you have in your sales framework, which is messaging, right? And that's where the messaging comes in place to kind of filter out with whom you want to work.
Definitely. I mean, understanding your audience is one of the absolute key things in your messaging, because you want to be able to repel the wrong people just as much as you want to attract the right ones.
Yeah. And you also talk about moral obligation to sell. What is it? Can you just let us know a little bit more around that?
Yeah. So that again ties back to the purpose pillar, because if you are here to serve a purpose and you don't do it, like, that is bad karma in a way that I can't even.
Yeah, it's more like you have an amazing book that can change millions of lives, but you're not even, interested in promoting it.
And you're very often doing this because of your own insecurities, right? If you can change someone's life, if you can just change one person's life, you have the obligation to go out and tell the world, this is what I can do, this is who I can help. And then selling the people that can actually benefit from it. Now, we already spoke about why should you charge for it, but when it comes to why should you even do it in the first place? Because you're here, you're supposed to fulfill your assignment. If you're not fulfilling your assignment, then what are you even doing? Right? What are you going to do with your life? You're just going to walk, like, I find it so unfulfilling. I find it so depressing to not create value for other people. And for some people, that's just, being a housewife and taking care of your family, and that's totally fine. Yeah, if you're happy, your family's happy, that's great. Imagine you can help someone. I have clients who can literally save people's lives through the work that they do. They can literally save their mental health, their physical health, their spiritual health. Imagine they don't put themselves out there and do that. Me personally, I think that's selfish. You got to get out there and help people. And even if that means being uncomfortable because you're worried about the judgment.
That's a great mindset shift. That if we come on a call and we take our services, our packages, our programs in a different light, rather than, making it all about money, if we associate it and understand what impact it's going to create in someone's life, and we only think about that when we meet a person on a sales call. It's all about how we can change that person's lives and how impactful your program could be for that person. I think our energy and the way we'll talk will change immediately. So it's only about qualifying that person, whether that person is ready to change his or her life or not. It's more about that rather than your pricing and things like that. We have these objections, right? The pricing, and if the customer doesn't, the prospect doesn't have enough money to pay and things like that. And I feel like, these objections are somewhere our own way of not making a sale, making sure that we don't make a sale. These objections are not to be handled at the other end. It's more about handling it in our own, head first, and then coming and showing up in the sales calls.
Yeah. And I think also there's two sides to it. One thing is helping your prospects visualize and understand what it is that you can do for them. And that's where the messaging pillar comes into it. How do I describe to people and make them understand what they can actually get from working with me? When it comes in terms of objections, I feel like respecting the objections is important. If someone feels like they can't afford it, I wouldn't try to push them and tell them, oh, yes, you can. It's just a mindset thing. There's so many people who are out there saying, oh, they just think they can afford it, but they totally can. And in some sense, you're right. But you as a business owner could then also help to provide payment plans, right? A lot of business owners, they want payment plans when they buy something, but they don't want to offer payment plans to someone else. Like, that doesn't fly. You're gonna have to find a balance there. And if you really want to help someone, I think payment plans are a great idea. That's a
And
great
these are
idea.
mostly logistical issues, so that can be handled. It's more about, you know, taking that sales call as a coaching call rather than, I think it's more about opening up their mind to what's best for
Mhm.
them and empowering them to make a call and decision,
Yeah.
right?
And I think also doing some work around really showing people the value of coaching. It amazes me how many people are willing to invest into like a Chanel bag, but won't invest into their own personal development or business development, because yes, there's a value in buying, especially buy like a vintage Chanel bag, that's going to increase in price, that's an investment. But very often we spend a whole lot of money on things that aren't actually benefiting us. And comparing those prices, especially when it comes to money objections, payment objections, helping people to compare to something is really powerful. So my coach, he loves to compare his pricing to a mortgage or a car payment or even a college degree. How much did you pay for your college degree and how much money has it made you so far? Look at how much money I can help you make, right?
Yeah, so just helping them show that things, just trying to make things tangible for them to be able to see it.
Definitely. Yeah, and that's also part of the messaging is figuring that out and feeling comfortable with it. I always I always suggest people to pay attention to how they like being sold because we are actually being sold on every single thing that we spend money on. If you buy an iPhone, someone sold you that iPhone. You did not wake up one morning just thinking to yourself you wanted an iPhone, right? So figure out how do you like being sold, and that will inform you how you like to sell. So we get so many people who tell you you have to sell in this and this and this and that way. I would suggest figure out how you like to be sold because that aligns with your frequency as well. And if you have an ideal audience, they're very likely on your frequency also. If you're well attached to yourself, you know yourself and you know your own worth, getting on that frequency and then figuring out how do I communicate with these people in a way that resonates with them. And that's very often in the same way that resonates with you. So yeah, I would suggest anyone figure that
Understanding
out.
your own behavior around how you buy things, and then possibly, implementing the same kind of strategies when it comes to selling your own services, which is awesome. Very, very good point. I really like that. What are your programs, Rebecca? If someone in my audience, they want to work with you, what are your programs and how do you work with people?
So I have a membership for women where we do weekly calls. You just kind of show up on Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, and we talk about all of these pillars. We talk about the purpose piece, the offers piece, the message piece, and I give very direct feedback to whatever they bring to the table. They will show up one day and be like, hey, I want to talk about my offers today, and we're going to do that. And I have a very open space where the other people in the membership are also very free to come and say, hey, I have this idea. Could you do this thing? So it becomes way more of a group chat, which I really enjoy. And that's for women entrepreneurs only. As you mentioned, there's so much inherent to women in terms of blockers and objections, inner objections when it comes to sales. So I want to be able to approach that without having men coming in and say, oh, you just have to do this, you just have to do that. So it's a protected space. I also offer like a 3 month or 6 month one-on-one for people who want more, who want the personal space. Um, and then I'm going to be setting up a 10-week course soon, which is going to be focused on my 3 pillars and just going through all of that. So yeah, and anyone who's interested,
So maybe for someone who's just starting up can go with the course, and someone who kind of is already making some sales and taking the sales calls can go with one-on-one containers. Yeah, I know, this movement that you are building, where sales has to be normalized for us. We have to kind of normalize it for ourselves. No one else is going to do that, and which is so important. We every time we come up with a new program, we come up with a new product line, whatever it is that we do as women, we just pour our heart into it, right? And when we struggle, at the end, when it comes to selling it, and we struggle and we don't feel kind of confident about selling it, it just makes me feel so sad, because I know that that product which is lying there in the inbox, that course, that coaching program, it has so much potential. And if it's only because of certain mindset that we carry and we're not able to reach out to more and more people, it shouldn't be the showstopper for us. And we definitely need to work on our, sales mindset altogether. And if you have to give my audience, 3 tips to work on the sales mindset, it's going to be really awesome. And it's some simple 3 tips which, they can implement before a sales call to kind of, increase their conversion and their confidence. It's extremely important that you feel confident before that sales call. I would really like that if you can share 3 tips with my audience.
Yeah, I would definitely say, first of all, remind yourself that you're here for them. They're not here for you. In that being, you're here to fulfill that purpose and help them. That the purpose of that sales call is not to convince them to buy something. It's to show them the life that they can have with you. So you are here to provide them with a service. And if they don't want that, that's okay. So remind yourself that you're here to fulfill that purpose. And the purpose is simply just to let them know the value of working with you. The second is around especially the money mindset, is remind yourself that they benefit from higher prices. Myron Golden says, if you're the best, no one expects you to be the cheapest, but if you're the cheapest, no one will believe you're the best, right? So the way that you position your prices is going to impact whether or not they consider you to be a quality person to work with. The less quality they believe that you provide, the more they're going to micromanage and question what you're giving them. They're going to consider you more of an expert and a premium person if you price yourself at a premium. You don't always get what you want, but you always get what you subconsciously want. So if you look around at your life and you see things are lacking, your subconscious somehow in a messed up way wants that to happen. And working on that can help relieve you from a lot of what you don't consciously want in your life right now. And if money mindset is an issue for you, that is why you're not making the money that you want to make. It's because subconsciously you either don't believe that you're worth it, subconsciously you don't actually want that money. There's something in there. So working on that is going to help. I mean, that's less of it just before your sales call, but it can also remind you that just because you subconsciously don't want something, you're going to have to work extra hard to consciously chase it to get that. And that includes also selling people at a price that makes you happy.
That really makes a lot of sense. And in a way, it's not, just for us. If we price our product, premium, and we position ourselves as an expert with all the confidence and belief in ourselves, it's kind of helpful for the other person as well, right? Because then they come prepared with a leadership, element in them to kind of conquer. So it helps them as well, which is beautiful. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for all of your wisdom. And it was lovely, talking to you, especially about this topic of sales, where women struggle the most. And in my journey of, I've worked for 17 years, and I have seen that, asking for that, chair that on that table in the meeting room, asking for the money when it comes to business. I worked in corporate for 12 years, and I would see often, women, they're not confident about asking for that place in the meeting room, So these are a few bottlenecks that I see. We are all growing now. Society is changing. We are evolving in so many ways. And if we can, generally people say that, empower women. We are already empowered. It's more about us realizing that and then claiming it to the world. It's more around that. So if we can change these mindsets, I'm sure, it's going to be a beautiful world for all of us as women entrepreneurs or working women, anywhere. And having an empowered woman in the house is going to, kind of raise a next level of generation for us. So again, when a woman is empowered and, is growing and is satisfied and fulfilled, it just benefits everyone around,
Yes.
so much. So thank you so much for giving me your time. And I'm sure my audience is going to love this, that there was just so much of value. Thank you so much for making sales so easy for all of us. And I'm really looking forward to see more and more work from you.
And thank you for having me, and thank you for creating this space. I think it's so important that we create this space for each other. So I really appreciate that.
I truly believe, if we can create a space for each other and give that voice and that platform, that audience for each other. And, whatever it is that we are doing, we can multiply on that if we are together. So this community, Her Movement podcast, is designed to provide that voice, that platform to all the women entrepreneurs who are trying to, build something amazing along the side of their, personal life. Of course, we all have children and we all have families and things like that to take care. And when a woman does something like that, it's not easy. I know it. I have a child, and I have a family and everything, and I know how hard it gets. So it is never easy for us. And if this platform can give voice to all of us, where we can talk about our movement and we can reach out to more and more people, there is nothing in the world that I would want more.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you, Rebecca.